The full-scale invasion in February 2022 represented a shocking wake-up call, as we'd say. There was a failure in the West to understand how Crimea started everything, that Crimea was the source, the ground zero of Russian aggression against Ukraine. And so in 2022, there was an attempt to really take stock of the influence and the importance of Crimea. And so now this notion that the war began in Crimea and will end in Crimea, I think is gaining more ground and more influence in Western communities. The idea that Crimea is truly a part of Ukraine in every sense, that historically over centuries, the peninsula and the mainland of Ukraine were tightly connected. They had a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship across the centuries. That we could divide somehow Crimea from the rest of Ukraine historically was a foolish idea. And so right now I think in the West and more broadly perhaps even in Ukraine, we can be cognitively deoccupying the peninsula by reading, for instance, Crimean Tatar literature. We could be reading works by Shamil Aliadin, Ashraf Shamizadeh, and many others. And at the same time, become more acquainted with this close mutual history, symbiotic history between the Ukrainian mainland and the Crimean Peninsula. And if we do those things and we deoccupy our minds while this military deoccupation is underway, we'll be ready to serve the peoples of Crimea when the time comes. We'll be ready to understand their needs and understand the obligations we have to them, both as people who work in, let's say, knowledge production in university settings, and also from the perspective of politicians too. Well, I recently had a Crimean Tatar friend tell me that I had forgotten the taste of coffee in Bachchissarai. So I suppose I'd go to Bachchissarai to renew and refresh my taste for Crimean Tatar coffee. And I think after that, I've had a few invitations to go swimming off the coast of Gurzuf. So those are the two things I would do.